blastmusic247.com. We're changing the industry one artist at a time.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Moments with Myra. Today's episode is extra special. It's not just a conversation, it's a celebration of Black history, leadership, and resilience. And I'm super excited. I'm low-key stoked, y'all. As we honor Black History Month, I'm deeply honored to sit down with a woman who embodies strength, grace, and groundbreaking achievement. She made history as the first, now listen to me when I say this, y'all, the first African-American female sheriff in the state of North Carolina. I'm going to repeat that for you guys one more time. The first African-American female sheriff in the state of North Carolina, and she continues to serve with integrity, compassion, and courage. Joining me is Sheriff Paula Dance, the proud sheriff of Pitt County. We're going to talk about her journey, the challenges she's overcome, her heart for community, and the legacy she's building every single day.
Oh, you froze.
Dance right here on Moments with Myra. Sheriff Dance, thank you so much for joining Moments with Myra. For those who may not know you, can you share a little bit about your background and what led you into your law enforcement journey?
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Myra, for having me. I'm honored to be here to talk about my journey. I think it's important that other females, especially African-American females, know what that journey looks like, and hopefully it will be a survival guide as they begin to chase that dream or chase whatever their dream may be. It is absolutely possible. It can be done, and I sit here as evidence of such. So, the journey, and I will absolutely say that the journey has not been easy, but it's doable. I come from very humble beginnings. I grew up in a rural county, Martin County, in a community called Farm Life. And it's just like it sounds. I grew up on a farm, mom and dad, 8 brothers and sisters. And so life for me was very hardworking. My parents were very hardworking folks. And that's where I learned my work ethic is from. Growing up on that farm and doing chores on that farm. But I didn't want to stay on that farm. And that wasn't my dream to be a farmer. And so I went to a community college and in computer programming, and who knew I'd end up in law enforcement, totally on the opposite end of the spectrum. And I briefly worked for a computer programming firm because that's what I went to school for, and in Greensboro. And I got homesick. I'm a country girl, too much traffic in Greensboro. I got homesick and I decided to come back home. And when I did, Martin County was so rural that we certainly didn't have computer software companies, and my skill set didn't have jobs available in that area. And so I needed a job. And so the local sheriff's office was hiring for a clerk. And so I applied for that position, got the position, and that's where I had a sudden epiphany that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. What was important for me was not necessarily the enforcement and seeing the officers enforce the law, but helping people and finding ways to get some satisfaction out of knowing that I was helping people. And so thus began my career. I sent myself through BLET at night while I worked during the day. BLET is the basic law enforcement training certification that one must have to become a law enforcement officer. Went through all of that, got my certification, came back to Martin County and said, here's my certification. And they gave me a gun and a badge. They swore me in, but they did not believe in women being on the road. So I kind of took my act on the road and came to Pitt County, which was a fairly large county, and ended up, getting hired here at Pitt County Sheriff's Office. And thus began my career. I started as a patrol officer. Within 3 years, I was promoted to sergeant of the Domestic Violence Prevention Unit. Thereafter, I was promoted to a major crimes investigator position, in which I solved some of the most high-profile murder cases in the county. After then, there was a promotion to lieutenant. I was subsequently promoted to captain. And in 2013, I became the first female major ever at Pitt County Sheriff's Office. And, there as majors, when I finally realized, hey, I've come this far. How much further can I go? Mm-hmm. I didn't grow up wanting to be the sheriff of anywhere.
I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you, like, how in the world did you start off being the clerk and then become the first African-American female sheriff?
Hard work, preservation, just learning everything, soaking up everything that I could learn, a true commitment and desire to help others. So that's what I believe has been my guiding post in getting me to where I am now. And so, that's where, when I became major, I was third in command here at this time. And I said, oh my goodness, look at where I am today. And so absolutely, it was at that point that I knew that I could. And so I did.
And just listening to your story, honestly, Chief Dance, I called you Chief Sheriff Dance, I apologize. It gives me chills because, like you said, it sets the scenario up for all little girls of color. Absolutely. To bring the impossible. Because when I was doing my research and when I said hesitantly, I said, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to see. I wasn't expecting you to say yes or anything because I'm just a little girl with a little podcast from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. But your story just resonated so much with me. And just hearing about your background and, coming from a farming community and just to see you now, like I said, I am really trying to contain myself and be professional, but I just feel so honored to be in this space and us sharing this time together.
Well, I did want to say, who would have thought that a little Black girl from a rural community, growing up on a farm, would grow up to be the highest law enforcement official in a county, in the 14th, 15th largest county in the state of North Carolina at that. So anything is possible.
Yes, ma'am. Now, what emotions did you feel on election night when you realized you had made history and became sheriff?
Well, that night was much more than an election. It was a culmination of decades of service, hope, resilience, perseverance, building relationships, trust. And it was for me, it was not about becoming the first African-American female sheriff in the state. It was about me wanting to put some transformational ideas in place that could help my community and beyond. And so, it wasn't about, again, running to be the first. I just happened to be the first. If that comes along with it, I'll take that. But it was more about what I could do, in this role. Coming from a community that has been actually marginalized, and taking those ideas that I was bringing with me and putting them into place so that, we could build a better community, show that, women, uh, has a place in law enforcement, and that we can lead. And so I didn't have many role models, well, any role models that looked like me,
Yeah.
but there were a couple of female sheriffs in the state of North Carolina. I think two specifically that were actually elected as sheriff. And so I was able to take bits and pieces from them. What I could not do is find those pieces that applied to me because they didn't look like me. So there was only so much that they could share. The rest I just kind of had to figure out myself, and I think I've done it in my second term now, and getting ready to go to my third term. So I think I've done okay.
I think so too. So now, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced as a Black woman rising through the ranks in a traditionally male-dominated field?
Well, I think I spoke about one of the issues already. Initially when I first started, my home county not believing in women being on the road. That was my first obstacle. And so, of course, if you can't, go around it, then go through it.
That's
And
right.
so I did, and I fought through that and came to again a larger county and was able to get hired here. I was a double minority at the time, and I say that to say that I was female and I was African American, so that kind of made me a double minority in the law enforcement field. And so they quickly hired me, went through a quick background, as quick as I've ever seen. I can only assume they did not want to lose the opportunity for me coming here to this county. And so, of course, there are times that, I face with people not understanding how it is that a woman can come in and lead an agency that has stereotypically been men, specifically white men, who have led. And so, there were some people who just, I think it was more about the color of my skin, than the gender, but in some cases it was both. But I knew that, I had, through my career, been very professional in my dealings with victims, with people in the community, always present. People who knew me, and they knew my level of integrity as it relates to, just law enforcement. And so that really, I think, is what kind of pushed me over the edge, was that reputation that I had built in the community. And so, it was a struggle for some of the things. Being the advantage that I had is being here at an agency for so long. I didn't have to really prove myself to those who work here because they've seen me for years in action. And so winning over the men in this agency was done through my hard work, being in the trenches as a deputy sheriff, being in the trenches as an investigator, being in trenches as a leader. And so it wasn't hard to, from within the agency. It's just, sometimes there are people who just don't think that these are roles for women.
Yeah. So in those moments when you kind of felt like the odds were against you, how did you give yourself that little extra push to get over the hump? What motivated you to say, you know what? Okay, this knocked me down. I'm in my feelings. I feel a certain way, but let me get up and get right back to it.
Oh, me, my why was the original why. Was the original of why I came into law enforcement in the first place. It was because of community. It was because of wanting to help others, and these are the foundations that kept me grounded. Preparation, competence, that I, experienced through the years or have built a reputation for through the years, my faith
Yes.
and my resilience of understanding that these, just go through these obstacles, just keep pushing, keep pushing. I had a great support system from family and friends that helped to keep me going. And I had a vision. That was the most important thing. And that vision was if we're going to, do this thing called law enforcement, everyone must be treated the same.
Yes.
And everyone must be given the opportunity to, or the resources of an opportunity to become law-abiding citizens. Everyone has a story. Everyone wasn't born on third base. And sometimes, you are what you see. I hope that seeing me will make others, inspire others to go forth and do great things, and give them the courage to do that. But there are people who just have never had the ability to see what I've seen. And the things that I've seen has encouraged me, and so I hope to be an encouragement to others.
And I think definitely that you are. And I think in a way, your magic, your Black girl magic, I will say, is not only the fact that you have your background and your experience, but because you are African American, you bring that empathy to the table. And I think we as women, no matter what position we're in, even when we have to be tough, we still can be tough with compassion.
Right.
And I think that makes the difference, compared to sometimes if we're going to compare ourselves to men.
Yeah.
So I know we were talking about representation. What does representation mean to you, especially for young Black girls who may now see themselves in your story?
Oh, representation means seeing possibility. You can see the possibility, then you can be the possibility. It means knowing that you're not invisible. It means knowing that you're not limited to stereotypes that others may have of you, or those barriers. If a young Black girl in Pitt County or beyond looks at me and think, here's someone that looks like me, it's all about that. It's all about seeing those possibilities of what you can be, and it means a lot when little girls can look at me, and that's why I make myself so visible in the community, especially when it comes to engagement with children.
Yes.
Little girls. If they can see me, then they can be me. And they need to be able to reach out and touch me and ask me questions, and just me being in their presence and their being in mine. I can see the huge benefits in that. Again, if you can see it, you definitely can be it.
I love that. If you can see it, you can be it. And I think too, just with the climate of the world today, period, it's so important for us to have role models like you. And I know we talk about little girls, but here I am, a grown woman, over 50. I will not say how much over 50 I am, but just surely being in your presence and learning about your story, I feel so much pride and joy and just seeing representation and just everything that you represent. It just does my heart good. And it just makes me so happy to have this opportunity to sit with you today. It really, really does. And I'm trying not to sound like a fan, but I believe in giving flowers when you have the opportunity to do so.
I appreciate those flowers.
So, how do you balance being both a community leader and a public servant in law enforcement? Because I know sometimes those lines can blur a little bit.
Well, I view the roles, those two roles, as being interlinked and not separate. As sheriff, I enforce the laws. I oversee the jail. I serve the courts. I provide public safety for our community. Not only when something goes wrong, but in everyday community life, these are all the responsibilities that I have, and being visible, when something does go wrong, is very important. Listening to the citizens, all citizens of my community, listening to them and taking their concerns seriously, and trying to find solutions for those concerns. And so, it's all intertwined. I really can't separate the two. Um, and it doesn't need to be separated, at the end of the day, because this is a job or a position or a role that I signed up for. And they, all of this intertwines. There's a reason that I ran for sheriff, and that was to intertwine, public service and being a community leader of enforcement. And so it definitely makes a difference in when you look at what I look like and what I do. Because for many years, there seems to be a separation of the two. People can see African American people in enforcement, and then I take away something from people who look like me, that don't really believe in law enforcement because of the historical nature of what law enforcement used to look like. Well, now law enforcement looks like me. And more and more each day, as we, begin to see African American women leaders, you have to know, anyone has to know, anyone that's African American and a female absolutely had struggles getting there.
Yes.
Absolutely. Certainly wasn't given.
You can say that again.
Definitely was not given. I can assure you it was earned, probably more so than what our typical leaders look like in these roles. Sometimes we have to give more than 100%.
Yes.
And you've got to understand that and be willing to give it when you get here. That's the only way you're going to make that difference.
And make sure that all of our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed.
Double crossed, double dotted.
So what changes or initiatives are you most proud of since taking office?
Oh, I'm so proud of a lot of things. So when I ran on a platform. I think I talked a few minutes ago about everybody not being born on third base.
Yes.
And having to get to that third base. Some people did not have the resources that it takes to get to third base. And so I aimed and ran on providing resources for people who had never been exposed to those types of resources. So one of the first things that I did in coming into office is addressing some of the issues with substance use and mental health issues and the co-occurring substance use problems that every county is facing.
Yes.
And so I started a program called SHARP. The original acronym was for Sherriff, Heroin, and Recovery Program. And I've since changed heroin to hope because of the stigma. Every addiction is not heroin. And I think hope was so much more appropriate because that's what we aim to give. And sometimes if you could just give people hope, that goes a long way. And so that's a very comprehensive program that addresses substance use, whether it be alcohol or whatever. And so if you think of it this way, people who are of means that can afford to send their loved ones off to some rehab and receive these same services that cost an exuberant amount of money, well, I bring those same resources through local resources inside of the detention center and make these initiatives or counseling and peer-to-peer support and access to faith-based that will sometimes help people, be the catalyst to help people get out of their addiction. I bring it to them by meeting them where they're at. And where do we meet those who need it the most? Unfortunately, often it's in jail.
Yes.
And so SHARP was originally, because just by the mere numbers in my detention center, it's probably 90% male. So I started off with the male population. And then I recognized, wait a minute, you're a woman and you're not, you're gonna have to correct this. So then I started the WARE program, Women's Empowerment and Recovery. Same premise, same resources. However, with women, I added an extra component of specific therapy that deals with trauma. Because women who find themselves criminally justice involved typically are such because they've had some type of trauma, unaddressed trauma that they've never tended to. And so that's an extra component that I add with the Women's Empowerment and Recovery group. Same thing, bringing the resources to people who need it the most. One of the other things that I've done is partnering with our local community college, where first of all, we're addressing issues of people through education who don't have GEDs. And at minimum, in order to secure a decent, well-paying job, you would at least have to have a GED. Bringing that into the detention center, also vocational skills. We had started with electrical wiring, the certification for the initial portion of electrical wiring and HVAC. This, at a minimum, when a person leaves the jail, would get them or could potentially get them a job as a helper, electrical helper. My hope was to plant the seed.
Yeah.
And so my vision is, okay, well, here it is. They get out, they got the certification, they get a job as an electrical helper. Then the seed that I planted, I hope continues to be watered through them going back and getting more certifications and going back and then one day becoming the owner.
Yes.
An electrical company. And so it's all about planting that seed. We do Serve Safe. Sometimes I say it backwards, Safe Serve or Serve Safe. That's the certification you have for restaurants. So people are actually leaving the detention center with certifications, that will help them to become employable. And this is important. Why? when you think of detention centers, you always have to remember these are people who have simply been accused of a crime. They have not been convicted. It's not our place to convict them. It is our place to serve as public, servants while they are inside of the detention center to meet their needs that the state says that they must have, medical care, food, whatever that comes along with that. So they haven't been convicted at that point, and more than likely, these people are going to go back into the community.
Yes.
Many, unless they're in there under some very serious crimes, like murder or something like that, but that's far and few, in between. More than likely, they're going to go back into the community. Do we not want them to go back in the community with tools in their toolbox to make them, help them to become productive citizens?
Yes.
Yes. And so I look at it as an investment, investing in people who then become productive citizens, who then reinvest back into their community because they now have good paying jobs and their taxes helps to support our community. They become a taxpayer. So it's an investment in people who are going to go back and reinvest into the community. One of the biggest initiatives that I have going on right now is a program called RISE, which is in a partnership with DHHS, the Department of Health and Human Services, for people who have been found incapable to proceed. That means people cannot assist their attorneys because they are so mentally ill at that point and they just sit, and their cases become stagnant. Oftentimes these people with low-level crimes that will spend more time in jail just sitting and waiting until some restoration happens, where they will spend more time than if they had been convicted.
Wow.
And so, these are people that typically go to Cherry Hospital. They're on an IVC, what we call a 304B order, that finds them incapable to proceed. And Cherry has a staffing problem. Cherry is for our catchment area here. I don't think they are for Winston-Salem area. I think there's somebody else that's within their catchment area. But I think our catchment area is somewhere from, don't quote me on this, at least 23 counties on the eastern side of the county that everybody goes to Cherry. Cherry has staffing issues. And so the wait times at a minimum could be 8 months before people would go get a bed at Cherry. Well, this RISE program, I've opened up and made 10 beds available in my detention center. And a psychiatrist, whatever the staffing is that typically works with these people at Cherry, are now at Pitt County Detention Center. And we are able to restore people back to capacity without all these wait times. So they're doing the same thing again, bringing them to people, and meeting them where they're at. And so we've been very successful in getting people restored out of jail, no more stagnation, and giving them back the dignity of helping to make decisions that's going to affect the rest of their lives.
Yes.
That's giving them back that dignity. I would hope that if I ever found myself in that situation, that there would be someone who advocates for me.
Yes.
And I'm in a role and in this position as sheriff to be able to make it happen. And so not only do I do it for Pitt County, I have also allowed other sheriffs in my catchment area to utilize these beds by sending their folks to us that helps them to get people restored back to capacity, so that they can make those decisions that's really going to affect them the rest of their lives.
The one thing that I find really, really beautiful about that initiative, Sheriff Dance, is the one thing that I kept hearing in my head was like the circle of life. You know what I mean? The
Right.
circle of life. And to me, I feel like that helps them to not only receive the help that they need, but the extra so that they can be prepared. So hopefully they don't have to come back through your doors anymore,
Absolutely.
to move forward.
Absolutely.
And another thing I like about your initiative too is when you were saying planting seeds.
Oh,
And I kept hearing planting seeds like having faith of a mustard seed,
yes. Yes.
and you have that faith of a mustard seed and you plant it and it grows in beautiful ways. And it makes me feel like that some of the people that are in the detention center, because I have, with my background as case manager, I work with unhoused people and people with mental health stuff. And a lot of times they just, like anybody else, they want to feel heard.
Right.
Simple stuff,
Yep.
And I think that not only are they having the opportunity, unfortunately, in this way to get what they need, but also to feel heard and to feel supported.
Right. Absolutely.
That's the most important thing.
And yeah, absolutely. It is advocating. That is, I'm always going to advocate for the underdogs, the people
Yes.
who find themselves in places and spaces that typically have been missing the help that they need through mental health, through the lack of mental health services, and making those connections. You spoke of housing. That's one of the things that we do in the detention center is we've connected with a resource that comes in that address when we know a person is getting ready to get out, and they're addressing what is your housing looking like? And if there is a lack of that, then we are helping to place these programs inside of the detention center. And I do accomplish all this through grants.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not burdening the taxpayers with it again, which should still be an investment. And the taxpayers ought to want to invest into people who are going to invest in the future, we hope. But I do all of this through grants, through federal grants, so that I'm not burdening the taxpayers with what we're giving and the resources within the community. And so those groups come in and we're helping to find people housing. They're helping people if they need to fill out for SSI, they're helping them to fill out those applications, food stamps, Medicaid, whatever the case may be, whatever those obstacles are, we're trying to give it to them so that when they go back into the community, that they are prepared and have a foundation, a solid foundation that helps them to restart oftentimes. Their life, and it addresses recidivism, because typically it's the same people who come in, through a revolving door. Sometimes, and it's unfortunate to say, I could probably, because it's a generational thing, it's an environmental thing, I could probably create the pictures for a family reunion.
Yeah,
Certain families, because it's the resources that they've but just by mugshots.
yes. No, I understand and I agree with that, because working in that field, you start making the family connections, but also too, in a way, you get a better picture of
Right.
why, of the why, and you have a better understanding. So I feel like in my field, I can better address things.
Right.
Because I have a better understanding.
Absolutely.
And I'm so glad that you said funded by grants.
Yes.
Because I didn't want nobody to come back and say, well, they're using money for this and using money for that. No, guys, she said federal grants. So let's just make that clear. Let's just put that out there and make that clear.
Absolutely.
So how do you build trust between law enforcement and the community, especially in times like these when the trust is kind of fragile?
Well, number one, people here who know me and watch me know that I'm always going to stand 10 toes down for doing what's right. And so that's the one thing that they can say is that Sheriff Dance is going to do what's right, no matter if it's popular or not. It's not important about being popular. It's more important of doing what's right to do. And sometimes it's hard, but it's still the right thing to do. Building trust by being visible, being present in the community. You know, a lot of people don't know what it takes, what goes into being the sheriff of the county. I'm not a Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
I'm not an 8 to 5. I am 365 days a year, 24 hours a day,
Yes.
the sheriff of Pitt County. And that's a lot of responsibility, making those decisions, you know, sometimes split second decisions, in doing, you know, in decisions that, you know, again, affects our community, not only short term, but long term. But I think that if anyone could say, you know, about my history of making decisions, they can rest assured it's always going to be about what is the right thing to do.
Yes. So, as we're celebrating Black History Month, what message would you like to leave with your listeners about resilience and leadership?
Well, you know what? Resilience and leadership is not defined by gender. It is not defined by a race. It is not defined by a color. It is defined to me by your commitment into whatever it is that you're doing, that you choose to do in life, being committed to it, being knowledgeable about it, and having a vision. In everything you do, you must have a vision. You gotta have a plan. Don't just come in, stepping in and thinking that everything is just gonna be story. There are gonna be obstacles and you're gonna have to make some decisions. So have a vision. I have a plan. And you know your worth and know that you can do it. That's important, you know, that you must know your worth. And you know, just work hard, realize that some of us have to do a little bit extra. But if you ain't willing to do the extra, you know, it's just unfortunately not going to work out. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Now, Sheriff Dance, if you could speak to your younger self, what would you tell her today?
Run! No, I would not. I would just say to myself, Paula, trust your calling. Trust your instinct. Trust yourself. Don't doubt yourself. I mean, it is a natural thing to doubt, but trust yourself. You know that if you put your mind to it and it's really what you want to do, the rest will come. It's a process.
And as we're wrapping up, the last thing that I wanted to ask you is, when you're done being sheriff and you're retired, you know, and relaxing and doing your thing, what do you hope that your legacy will be?
I would hope that people will remember that I made a difference. I would hope that I would hope that people will think back to the things that I have done that have been transformational You know, I've never been this transitional leader where you go through the manual says do one, do two, do three. No, I have always been a transformational person. So much so that, I've done things like, listen, I have a therapy dog here at the Pitt County Sheriff's Office, and this dog is a community dog. He's trained for therapy. We use him in the courtrooms. We use him with victims. He's a big old golden retriever, sweetest thing ever. And so he goes to schools, he goes to retirement villages. People love him. Deputy Barkley is his name.
Oh,
And so Deputy Barkley, with all that he has done, just that one thing, having a Pitt County courthouse dog that's a therapy dog. Well, guess what? There are a lot of counties now that all of a sudden have therapy dogs. That one idea that I put into place has now spread to other counties. Some of the programs that I have done I've set that bar so high that you got to jump to take.
yes.
And so, yes, people are, other counties are following suit to now begin programs. And people say, well, you started it, aren't you? I'm not mad about that. I won't. This is what I wanted to happen. I wanted to set that bar high. Now jump. So my thing is imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Yes.
Is it not?
Yes.
And so I'm happy that I set that bar. And now jump and create these programs and create and understand that everybody has a story. People don't just come to jail. There are stories behind why people commit crime. Now, don't get it twisted. A crime is a crime, and I'm going to enforce the law. Always going to enforce the law. That's a part of my constitutional statutory duties. I'm going to enforce the law. But there is nothing that says that I can't give people the resources to make them not break the law again. So that's who I am. That's why I do what I do. And I always know that everybody has a story. I had a story, and my story brought me to where I am today as the sheriff of Pitt County. Proud to be, I kind of downplay being the first African-American female sheriff, but it's not lost on me. I recognize and realize that I'm the first. I just hope I'm not the last. And I hope I've made everyone proud in the way that I have led this office, in the way that I have just done what's right. And I hope that I've opened doors for the next Black woman, whether she be in North Carolina or Mississippi or Timbuktu, that we can do this. All we got to do is fight through, go through it. If you can't go around it,
That's
if you can't go over it, run right through it.
Run right through it. And I'm a very, very musically in tune person. Like music is like life for me. And again, when you were talking about what your legacy is, I was hearing a gospel song, May the Work That I've Done Speak for Me.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's a beautiful way to end this conversation. May the work that you have done continuously speak for you and allow other people to jump.
Absolutely. That's right.
What a powerful and inspiring conversation with Sheriff Paula Dance. Thank you for not only serving your community with courage and compassion, but for showing all of us that anything is possible when purpose meets persistence. Your story reminds us that representation truly matters and that breaking barriers isn't just about being the first. It's about making sure you're not the last. To everyone listening, I hope you're leaving this episode encouraged to walk boldly in your own purpose and to keep making history in your own way. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe, share it with someone who needs a little inspiration, and follow us on social media. For more Moments with Myra. Until next time, I'm Myra, and this has been Moments with Myra. Stay inspired, stay grounded, and keep shining your light. Thank you, Sheriff Dance.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Do you know who you are? Do you know where you're from? You are a superstar, don't let them fool you now. Do you know who you are? Do you know where you're from? You are a superstar, don't let them fool you now.
Pay homage to the one that never make promise that he can't keep. Praise to you, hands raised to you, I will never lie, no will lie for safety. Spit aquatic and my logic is a problem for them demons following you can't see. Gentlemen, a product of a great G, cause I did my goddess like I'm Shang-Chi. Put a ring, she ain't gotta thank me. Skin brown so they try to hate me. Menace to society, sire, wait T, cause I got a higher vibing great key. In the desert with my lions, all you do is lock us up, I provide the gate key. Strong mind, calm in a long line, willpower at the height of 8-3. Down 2, when it come down to a clutch verse, I provide a late 3. Hammer MCs, you can't touch this, like a far out away tree. Real ones I wanna link up and build with you, more than Kyrie calling KD. Learn from Elijah, Malcolm X, Louis Farrakhan, and Muhammad Ali. I remember growing up watching Mammy clean kitchen in a Tom and Jerry scene. Move on the low, make you marvel at my shape shifting like an honorary tree. 3 kings that are raised inside the kingdom, guess it kinda made me. Praise to the most high, God is great, my response when you compliment me. She the one that gave it to you, better give it up. He the one that gave it to you, better give it up. Show appreciation for you, better live it up. Better give it up, gotta live it up. She the one that gave it to you, better give it up. He the one that gave it to you, better give it up. Show appreciation for you, better live it up. Better give it up, gotta live it up.
Do you know who you are? Do you know where you're from? You are a superstar, don't let them fool you now. Do you know who you are? Do you know where you're from? You are a superstar, don't let them fool you now.
Just trying to spread the good word, cause I heard it through the grapevine. Did you know you come from great minds? Did you know your DNA's 9? Did you know that there's a plan to keep your race locked up like Akon? Did you know your people battled on the stage different than the one from K-Shine? We was in the field, weapons in the shield, never hesitant to ref and it was real. Gave to each other, never had to put it in a fine print section of a wheel. Bathed with each other, close up, soap suds up to the chest, it was a thrill. Stayed with each other, kept you stepping in protection, don't put aggression and we peel.
Do you know who you are? Do you know where you're from? You are a superstar, don't let them fool you now. Do you know who you are? Do you know where you're from? You are a superstar, don't let them fool you now.
She the one that gave it to you, better give it up. He the one that gave it to you, better give it up. Show appreciation for you, better live it up. Better give it up, gotta live it up. She the one that gave it to you, better give it up. He the one that gave it to you, better give it up. Show appreciation for you, better live it up. Better give it up, gotta live it up. She the one that gave it to you, better give it up. Better give it up. Show appreciation for you, better live it up.